October 16, 1991. Chaos reigns in the aftermath of what, at the time, was the deadliest massacre in American history. At 12:45 p.m. that afternoon, a pickup crashed through the front window of a popular local restaurant, Luby's Cafeteria. At first, everyone inside thought they had witnessed an accident. It soon became apparent it was something much, much worse.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah, I was having lunch in Luby's Cafeteria facing the front plate glass window. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw this pickup truck come through the plate glass window, which I automatically assumed was a car struck out of control. So I immediately hit the floor. And while I was laying on the floor, I heard him start firing.
The driver, crazed misogynist killer George Joe Hennard, stalked the restaurant with cold-blooded efficiency and chose those who would die, most of whom were women.
Shot anybody in his path?
I thought it was the backfire from the car at first. And then he pulled me underneath the table, and then it kept on going and going.
Walking across the restaurant with a gun. Just anybody?
Everybody he saw.
Hearing the first-hand reports, it was hard for investigators and reporters to fathom what had just happened in their sleepy little town. And the even bigger mystery was why it had happened.
He kept shouting, "I hope all this is worth it. I hope all this is worth it, Texas." I have no idea. There was a number.
A horrible day seared in the memories of every American. But even bigger than the attack itself is the personal story of the lingering effects it left on the victims. Memories of the Luby's massacre are infused with horrible stories of innocent people dining with loved ones who were cut down by a madman. One of the most memorable stories involves Susanna Gracia Hupp, a local chiropractor who was having a leisurely lunch at Luby's when a truck suddenly smashed through the front window and dramatically changed her life. At first, everyone thought they had witnessed an accident.
We began to get up to go over to help the people that he had knocked over. Then we heard gunshots. Well, immediately my father and I got down on the floor. We put the table up in front of us. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's a robbery. I was waiting for the guy to say something like, "Everybody put your wallets up on the table." But the shooting continued.
Eventually, it became apparent what was happening, so Susanna reached for her gun.
I had my purse on the floor next to me, and I reached for it because I normally kept a gun that, at that time in the state of Texas, was illegal to carry. And then I realized a few months earlier I had made what I still consider to be the stupidest mistake of my life. My gun was out in my car, completely useless. I had decided to obey Texas law because I was concerned about losing my license to practice chiropractic. I was a little worried about losing my license instead of my life.
At this point, stranded without a weapon, Susanna's 71-year-old father, Al Gracia, decided to take action.
And he said, "I've got to do something. He's going to kill everybody in here." And I said, "Don't go. You're going to get killed too." But when he saw what he thought was a chance, he went at the guy. But the man simply saw him coming and simply turned and shot him.
As her father lay mortally wounded, someone broke out a window, providing a precious escape route.
At that point, it kind of became pandemonium. When I thought I had a chance, I stood up, I grabbed my mother by the shirt collar, I said, come on, we gotta run, we gotta get out of here. And then my feet grew wings, and I made it out that back window.
Finally free from the kill zone, Susanna felt a sense of relief, but that feeling disappeared in an instant.
I turned around to say something to my mother and realized she hadn't followed me out. My parents had just had their 47th wedding anniversary, and Mom wasn't going anywhere without Dad.
The closest police were in a conference at a hotel right next door to Luby's. But because they could not carry their sidearms in the hotel, They spent precious time retrieving their weapons. They grabbed their guns and headed into the restaurant.
They didn't initially know who the bad guy was. They did see a woman in an aisle cradling a man who had obviously been mortally wounded. When what turned out to be the gunman got back over to her, they said he put a gun to her head and he pulled the trigger. That man and woman, of course, were my parents. So the policeman fired a gun into the ceiling. They said this guy rabbited to a back bathroom alcove, and then the guy put a bullet in his own brain.
When the shooting at Luby's occurred, the police were right next door, yet that didn't help lower the body count.
23 people were dead that day. Up until the recent Virginia Tech massacre, it was the largest massacre in this nation. And as you well know, unfortunately, it's happening more and more frequently.
As these horrible events grab today's headlines, we've all learned the police can't be everywhere all the time.
The police are there to serve you and try to protect you, but they're not there to be your bodyguard.
The truth is that they're just going to get there in time probably, or maybe chase the bad guy. People need to understand and realize that we are responsible.
So what can we do to protect ourselves?
I think that everybody should have some awareness of their surroundings, and they should have something to protect themselves. And it could be mental, physical, it could be a weapon.
And when I go to a restaurant, I try to sit near the exit, and I'm always looking around. I'm not paranoid, I'm just very alert. If an active shooter situation breaks out, even if you're armed, get out, run.
You have to know exit. You need to know how to get out of your office. And the time to decide that is not the time when the crisis hits.
The way that we can take the streets back today is by good people carrying guns to protect themselves and to protect this country.
Watching the aftermath of a massacre like Luby's is frightening enough. But imagine what it feels like to have been there.
From a victim standpoint, especially a victim that has no way to protect themselves, they're probably seeing their life flash in front of their eyes.
Being trapped in a scenario like Luby's doesn't necessarily mean you have to become a victim.
I don't perceive myself as a victim at all. If I'm a victim of anything, I'm a victim of some stupid gun control law.
The first step towards changing the country's gun laws was realizing why the shooters choose the locations they do.
Let's think about this for just a minute. Name me one place where this has occurred, where people were allowed to defend themselves. If guns are the problem, then why hasn't this sort of thing happened at skeet and trap shoots or NRA conventions? It's not about the gun. There are crazy people out there, more and more, that are looking for high body bag counts. All us regular people are asking for is an opportunity to equalize the playing field a little bit.
But would someone with a gun really have changed the outcome at Luby's?
A gun is not a guarantee. It just changes the odds.
So, what can a normal person do to legally protect themselves? If you're Susanna Gracia Hupp, you take on Congress.
Susanna Gracia Hupp told reporters something that they didn't expect from her.
I can tell you that I'm not mad at the guy that did this.
She blamed the legislators who had legislated away her right to have a gun to defend herself and her parents.
I'm certainly not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in there by themselves and pull their own triggers. The Second Amendment is not about duck hunting. And I know I'm not going to make very many friends saying this, but it's about our rights, all of our rights, to be able to protect ourselves from all of you guys up there.
The laws did nothing to stop the bad guy. They only prevented the good people in that restaurant from being able to protect themselves and their families.
People, that is not the point of the Second Amendment.
As a result of her exposure, she ran for the Texas legislature, and she served in the Texas legislature for more than 10 years.
From the Texas legislature, Susanna fought the brave fight and helped pass legislation to ensure that honest people can arm themselves and carry concealed weapons.
When I was a legislator, if there was a change to the gun laws that would move the bar, I'll vote for it.
Becoming a legislator gave her a pulpit, if you like, to carry on the work of explaining to people that guns aren't bad, they're a tool.
According to a 2005 survey, violent crime rates are 27% higher in states that outlaw concealed carry. But the only way the laws in this country are going to change for the better is if everybody gets involved.
You know, we have over 40 states that allow law-abiding citizens the right to carry a firearm for personal defense. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that. It's a very realistic approach to survival for a lot of people.
I think those legislators and the audiences need to put themselves in the victim's position and then ask them, as that gunman is leveling his gun on your forehead, don't you hope you have a weapon or the guy behind you has a weapon and knows how to use it?
The massacre at Luby's will always be remembered. An unprovoked, brutal attack that touched many lives in a horrible way and changed the city of Killeen, Texas forever. The hope is that as public awareness and training increase, horrible events like Luby's will be averted before they ever start.